Welcome to What the Health? Where anything health is fair game as we tackle the trends and bust the myths about health and wellness. Here are your hosts, Dr. Dan and Angela Toro.
And welcome to another episode of What the Health. I am Dr. Dan, here with two of my co-hosts.
Angela, welcome back, guys.
And almost Dr. Riley.
Dr. Riley, hello. Not too much longer, you'll be able to break that name. So we'll be official, Dr. Riley. We'll have to do a podcast on that.
Riley's our intern in the office for anyone who hasn't.
Yes, for anyone who's not familiar with almost Dr. Riley.
I don't think we said that in the last one, so people are probably like,
who the heck is Riley?
We talked about The Office a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, I think the dog ran away for this episode. So, anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about doing the thing, right?
Are we allowed to say that? Did we decide?
Doing the thing. Well, this is going to be all about behavior changes. And again, here we go. We're coming up on the new year and New Year's resolutions. That's the big buzzword every year.
Least favorite time of the year.
Everyone's, especially people who are in the health field. It's why do we have to wait till January 1st to make these changes? Like, do it now. Right? Yeah. What is it? December 5th? Just start now. But yeah, it's rather than being focused on the big result, big end game. And this is, honestly, this podcast is for myself because I am such a futuristic person. If you've never done the Gallup poll does a whole thing called Strength Finders. And my wife Erin and I did it a few years back. And one of my top 5 traits, there's like 34 traits or strengths that an individual can rank 1 through 34. And your top 5, it tends to give you a pretty good picture, almost like a personality profile. It tends to give you a pretty unique and good picture of who you are, what your strengths are. So futuristic was one of my top 3. And so I'm always the person, okay, what's next? But my problem is, in terms of like the strategic and day-to-day planning, I get lost because I'm always like, all right, well, I'm going to write this down, get really excited about the big goal, business, we'll set goals at the beginning of the quarter, beginning of the year. And it's like, all right, this is what we want to achieve. But then we lose, we lose the vision, we lose the forest and the trees because, I don't navigate the day-to-day very well. It's not a strength of mine. So this is for all you who are programmed like me and, hey, I want to set that big goal of, I want to drop 30 pounds. I want to, bench press, 400, or I want to squat 400. I want to, do something really big in my health. I want to run a marathon. I want to do a trail run for 30 miles, whatever the case might be. You set a big resolution or something that you want to accomplish, and we forget about the day to day. So this is about navigating the trees in the forest and just doing that thing that's going to create the end result. So what are those things that we need to be doing?
What are the things?
Yeah, what are those? What is the thing, right? So, it really comes down to what your goal is. Yeah. So
I think that's important too. Is that we're not saying don't have goals because you ultimately. we have a whole podcast I think from last year on SMART goals which are absolutely essential because again. You could also be the opposite. You get lost in the day-to-day and lose sight of the big picture. So you
have to have the destination, right? You've got the navigation system. You get into your car and it's like you're going to this new location. You got to type in the destination to know for the directions to be programmed back to you. But there's multiple ways sometimes to get there.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So ultimately you do need to know what are you looking for? Is it to increase strength? Is it to lose weight? Is it to increase energy, stamina, whatever.
You want to change blood numbers, your blood numbers maybe came back.
Get off medications. So it's, what ultimately is the goal. And then, what are the day-to-days? There's somebody we've been working with that she's trying to get off cholesterol medication and blood pressure medication and has been, and that's exactly what we've been working on is, okay, what do we, what are the things that I need to do? Because I want to go back to my doctor and say, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. So, we're working on, she's been doing really well with the diet. We're working on the exercise. And it's just like making those steps. And that's going to look different. Someone trying to get off medication those day-to-day steps are going to look a lot different than somebody training for a marathon or training for a, powerlifting competition. So it is important to know where you want to go. But then, yes, the day-to-day, I'd say, but off the bat for everyone, you got to look at the big things: diet, exercise, and sleep habits, I would say, are the big ones for everybody, because that's right off the bat. If you're not addressing those 3 areas, if you're...
We could call it the 3 M's. Movement, mouth, and mental state. mental state, which comes from your sleep.
Yeah, sleep.
Melatonin.
Yeah, sleep. Well, because sleep, and you can put sleep and even like stress in there, because those two tend to go hand in hand so much. When we're stressed, we feel tired, but we can't sleep. And I've been hearing a lot of people this past week saying, like, I've just not been sleeping well. I've been up in the middle of the night, wide awake, or like can't fall asleep. So, whether it's, the change in weather or the holiday, I don't know what it is, something.
Planet, someone's in retrograde.
I don't know. But it is, you'll notice that it does kind of go, there will be these sort of energy shifts, but ultimately I'd say, sleep is what I tell people ultimately you kind of need to start with, because a lot of the times, with, especially if weight loss is your goal or managing numbers, if your sleep's out of whack, I don't care what your diet looks like, I don't care what your exercise routine looks like, your body's not going to respond the way that you want it to respond. That we've talked about, again, we've done whole podcasts on sleep and recovery and the importance of that. And, I stand by that, because that's just, we forget about it. I think in this fast-paced 24/7 world we live in, we want to get we want to, cram in every possible
fear of
thing.
missing out, right?
Yeah.
Well, and again, then you start down the rabbit hole of like, hey, you're just doing some, reasonable reading or research, or, watching hopefully an educational video. And, before you know it, it's like 2 or 3 hours have gone by, and it's like, what? I wanted to go to bed 2 hours ago. What just happened? And again, I'm guilty of this. And that's why we, do these shows, to say, hey, even as health professionals, we fall into the same, I guess, temptations as everyone else. So, but with the sleep though, because try and just tell someone who's having trouble sleeping, just sleep better. So, and see the look that they give you, daggers out of their eyes.
And it's not telling you just to sleep better, but it's prioritizing that, because I think that's where people, again, there are things you can be doing on a day-to-day basis to help yourself sleep better, but we just we contribute it to, well, I gotta get this done. I gotta do, put everybody else's needs first, or, again, just trying to cram everything in and not recognizing that there's just like those small day-to-day changes. So, biggest one that I think probably everyone's guilty of is limiting screen time at night. And that's, how many people sit there, either fall asleep watching TV or staring at their phone, or, I know I'm guilty of it. And
it's so easy now in today's day and age. So you're right. It's like, shutting the screen off at a certain time, whether it's, if you want to go to bed by 12, you should have, screens off an hour before, especially if you have trouble sleeping. Like, people always make fun of, my wife always makes fun of me. Like, you can fall asleep anywhere. I fall asleep, so again, if you don't have, that trouble sleeping, again, it's still good to get get the light, the blue light out of your, your brain cycle. But still, for those who have trouble sleeping, like that blue light, getting it off, and not just, towards the end of the night, but throughout the day, wearing blue light glasses,
that's made a big difference for me at the office.
So, because blue light is we talked about this on the other podcast. So what's the, so blue light glasses, that could be something that you start doing immediately. But again, the movement, I think, is so important, because we always talk about, people just, they don't get the regular activity, not even necessarily exercise, but just movement. And so if you're not doing anything, in your life right now to move your body, you should be setting a goal of, 7,500 to 10,000 steps a day, and I just had this conversation with a new patient, because, she's dealing with chronic fatigue. She's dealing with a lot of, just stress and, excuse me. So again, if you're chronically fatigued, again, try and tell someone, hey, they have to be active.
Yep.
But, regardless of how tired you are, you can put, an asterisk, like, can you get out and just move your body?
Yeah.
And even if it's standing in front of your screen, can you get up and just, walk in place and just move your body? So you're getting 7,500 steps, and she even had a watch. And I'm like, you track your steps? She's like, yes, it'd be embarrassing how many steps, I don't get. It's like, okay, well, guess what? We're starting tomorrow and you're getting 7,500 steps. And so you just moving that body is something that you can take an actionable goal, and all it takes is put on the shoes and walk out the door and just walk until you hit those steps. Again, you don't even have to do them all in one sitting.
No, it's actually better to spread it throughout the day. There's actually been a lot of research that shows, people that get out and walk like 10-minute walks multiple times a day, as opposed to going out and getting all of your exercise at once. Again, it keeps your body moving, it keeps the muscles engaged, keeps you mentally alert. It's great if you get that hour of exercise in, but if you're sitting the other 23 hours of the day, it's still not going to be enough overall. So making sure that you're up and moving. If you're, a desk worker, get a standing desk. Yeah. There's another, right off the bat, easy thing. Everyone's been commenting on my standing desk.
Yeah, we just switch that around in the office.
Yeah, and again, there's some shifts that I'm like, by the end, I'm like, okay, I need to sit, but
that's okay, because you haven't done it for 8 hours, so you're allowed to sit down.
Yeah, but then there's days that there was one I was like, I never put that down once. I'm like, jeez.
Yeah, now you feel like Riley and I, going 12 hours in a day, don't sit down.
But yeah, there's like little things like that. It's amazing how much that adds. You don't think about it, but if you're standing, you're more likely to kind of move around, get stuff. If it's like, oh, okay, I need to stretch, I need to fidget, I need to engage my core. Versus when you're sitting and everything can just kind of go into off mode.
Yeah, because how much of that, because even if you're in a meeting, if you're on a phone, you can be standing and moving around.
Oh yeah, when I take my calls, I'm always out walking around.
Yeah, take a walk and be on a phone call. If you need to be typing, you can stand up and type at a standing desk. Like it's not difficult, but it's things that you have to make a conscious decision to do on a day-to-day basis. And that's, again, the whole, purpose of this was about do the thing, what's the thing that you can start doing. And then, so the other thing is, talking about, wanting to get rapid results, right? You're going to see so many of that. She's already rolling her eyes. It's like, because you're going to see all the programs.
All the weight loss.
Lose 30 pounds and lose 30 pounds in 30 days or less than that. It's like, and again, that's great, but, anyone can do anything for 30 days. But it's like, can you then make it a lifestyle change? Yeah. And, again, as much as they say, it takes 21 to 30 days to make a habit. No, probably closer to 90 days.
I would say, 3 months.
Truly, get it etched in as a long-term habit.
Because, a habit, we talk about the difference between something where you're, habit something you don't think about. So you mentioned, I know, in another podcast, brush your teeth. Yeah. It's like, do you get up in the morning and go, oh my God, I have to brush my teeth again? It's like, I hope not.
My kids.
Yeah, I was going to say, beyond the age of maybe 12, hopefully you're not rolling your eyes at that. Like, you just don't even think twice. In fact, I'm sure you've had those mornings where you rush out the door and forget, and then all day you're like, oh my God, like what? I can't.
At night, you crash, you crash, really hard. And it's like, oh shoot.
You feel so off, and you feel, So that's a habit. That's a healthy habit where your body expects that and recognizes that. And if you miss it, you feel completely off. And that's how it should be if you're, eating a healthy diet, exercising regularly, moving regularly. If you miss those things, your body will be like, what are you doing? That's when it's a habit, because you're not feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I told you, my goal's been 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesdays before our long days at the office, 6 a.m. be at the gym. And the first couple weeks, it was definitely, and then, yesterday was a Monday and I was amazed. That alarm went off. I'm like, I was up out the door.
Consistency is going to get you there. I remember.
Because I know how good I'm going to feel that day.
Those days in the morning, it's tough because we had class at 7 a.m. So I'd get up 5 o'clock, go to the gym.
That's your only chance.
Shower, get to class. But I was ready to go. 7 a.m. I was probably the most alive person in that class.
Yep. I will say though, by 7 p.m. I was very tired.
Absolutely.
I'm like, okay, I'm all done.
Absolutely.
Ready to wind down.
And so that's the thing. And you don't have to be, you don't have to force yourself to be a morning person. It's funny, over the years, it's like I've really gravitated towards, I can be a night owl. I can be, a morning person. And it's like there are days that, some days I'm like up and I'm reading and I'm like, it'll be, midnight, 1 o'clock. And I'm just like, I'm still going and my mind just won't shut down. Yeah. But then, then I'll sleep really good the next night. But then it's like, a couple days later, it's like I'll be up at like 4 or 5 a.m. And it's like my body's just ready to go because I got a really good night's sleep. I went to bed early, and it's like I wake up. And so it's like, again, we always talk about listening to your body. Like, you can go in cycles like that. There's been days when I can't fall asleep. It doesn't happen often, but like if I can't fall asleep and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'll go take a walk. Now, obviously, if you maybe don't I live in a very safe neighborhood. If you don't feel comfortable or don't feel like you're in a safe space, but maybe you have access to a gym in an apartment complex or something, that you can get
lots
to.
of 24-hour.
Get up and move your body, so that you can, start to wind down. If you physically exhaust yourself, your body will sleep. And a lot of times we're just, we're so mentally stimulated, but physically unstimulated, and that's a very bad combination long term. So what's the thing, right? Do the thing, and just moving the body. That 7,500 to 10,000 steps a day is a great step of just like, hey, I'm going to do this, and you can do that with kids. You can do that with a spouse. You can do that with a friend, a neighbor. Like you can do that with a dog. It's like, and again, the dog's going to thank you for it because they're getting healthier. So it's like you can do that and hold yourself and someone else accountable, and they can hold you accountable to just move your body. So that kind of goes with the activity. One of the easiest things that you can probably start doing on a day-to-day basis if you haven't made any resolutions, and just doing the thing, because then that can be stacked on top of so many other healthy habits.
Because again, if your goal is something fitness focused, then you're adding the actual exercise training on top of that. In addition to those 7,500 to 10,000 steps, then you're getting your exercise on top of that, which will give you a couple thousand extras. So that's the idea, is it's establishing that base.
It all can work in unison, like going back to the sleep and stuff. You're like, okay, how am I going to get better sleep? Then you go to the phone. You're like, okay, I need less phone time at night. Well, you're not going to sit there and do nothing rather than be on that phone. So, maybe you do get up and you walk the stairs a couple times, you go out and walk. So these all are going to work in unison to kind of help get you towards that end goal that you should have, but you got to know how to get there. So I think making sure that you have multiple pathways, like you said, there's multiple pathways to get to your final destination. And they all might, you might not get all of those destinations all the paths on the first go, but one will definitely lead to the other.
Yeah, and it's stacking those those routines on top of one another. So, and that's where, again, going back to the habit and the resolutions, like if you have not been exercising or not been eating healthy, like don't think January 1 you're just gonna flip a switch and you're just gonna change your entire routine overnight. Not gonna happen. So that's where, again, we discuss pick one, maybe 2 or 3 things that are simple that you can do consistently for 30 to 90 days. And then once you get those ingrained, then you can start jumping to the next one, because you're going to start doing little things. Maybe you don't make it a goal in the first 30 to 90 days that you're going to get to the gym. But if you set that goal of moving 10,000 steps a day, I guarantee you're going to, probably, find an exercise class that you jump in on at the gym, or, you are going to, start being more active with your kids, or, just because you're doing that simple habit that you can do on a daily basis. But then it's like, once you start getting those ingrained, then you can start adding more things. And that's where you're going to, help get to the next destination.
And making sure that it's sustainable, these 30 pounds in 30 days, like that's not healthy. I think it's 2.2 pounds a week or something like that. That's healthy loss.
It's like 0.8 pounds of.
I'd say 1 to 1.5 a week is probably most sustainable. Again, up to 2 is fine, and you'll probably lose that. The more you have to lose, the more you'll tend to lose starting out. But I'd say when people are like, oh yeah, I'm only losing about a pound a week, I'm like, great. Like, is it staying off? Or like, yeah. I'm like, then that's
over 50 weeks and 52 weeks in a year. That's a nice change.
Exactly.
It's sustainable too, you know.
It's like, yeah, it might not feel as good as stepping on there and 5 pounds are magically gone, but you're earning that, and it's your body naturally, especially with weight, especially with women. There's this natural set point that your body will come to, and as your weight fluctuates, that set point's gonna change, and it's going to want to go back to that weight that it's comfortable at, which unfortunately is the higher weight is where it's more comfortable. So once you've been overweight, your body's going to kind of want to keep coming back to that. So if you lose the weight really quickly, it's going to want to bounce back, versus if you're slowly, gradually going down, what you'll probably notice is it's going to still fluctuate maybe that 5 or 10 pounds.
Yeah, you'll plateau for a little bit.
Yeah. But the midpoint is coming down. So that's what you want to see. So maybe we're fluctuating around that 200 and you were anywhere from like 190 to 210. Well, then it's going to slowly be 195 plus or minus, and then 190 plus or so it feels like a slower progression, but it's allowing your body at each phase to get comfortable with that lower weight versus doing it very quickly. Our bodies don't want to lose weight. That's not what they're designed. In fact, our fat storage system is designed to store, to keep us, from getting to that point where we don't have enough energy. So when we start doing these drastic things, our bodies are like, what are you doing?
Yeah, wait.
You're trying to kill me. Versus, again, making the day-to-day changes. I always tell people, I'm like, just do the healthy thing. Exercise.
No.
Eat right, get sleep. Again, it sounds simple. We always say it's simple, but it's not easy.
Exactly. It's extremely simple,
but you find what works for you, and your body's going to naturally come to a weight that's healthier. And it might be higher than you would like it to be, but if you're healthy, then that's ultimately, again, I've had to have that talk with my, kind of at that point right now where I'm like, the weight's probably up 10 pounds from where I want it to be, but I'm like, I'm sleeping well, I'm exercising regularly, I'm eating, other than holiday stuff, I'm eating well. Mm-hmm. It's like, I feel good, so I'm just, this is just my hibernation, this is my winter weights, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But I swear I'm part bear. I would love to hibernate this time of year.
As the snow continues
to fall. I'm like, oh man, you dragged me out of bed.
Yeah, well, and that's and we also just going back to that mentality of comparison, right? Mm-hmm. Because so many of us compare ourselves to pictures of other people,
pictures of ourselves from the past
years ago. I have thoroughly embraced the dad bod. But it's funny though, because if you look at what I do on a weekly basis, like I get almost 10,000 steps without thinking about it, just moving around the office. And if you if you track that, you'll see it as well. Like I'm just moving around my office 10,000 steps a day, without any additional walking. Like I am constantly moving my body, and so now is that the best thing long term? No, I should be doing additional stuff, but it's like I feel like my joints don't ache in the same way as when I was beating them up playing sports all those years into my working out really hard in my 20s. And so it's funny because there are days when it's like, yeah, I feel like, I get a little bit more winded, a little easier, but in terms of how my body actually feels, my flexibility and mobility, I get my arms all the way up over my shoulders. I can get down into a squat position and, feel great about the mobility that I do. And so, again, it's all about the goals and what you want to accomplish. Yep. I do have a goal that I'm going to start start doing some more, getting back into the resistance exercise and activating the musculature a little bit more. But, in terms of my mobility, in terms of, my actual joints, again, I feel great, and my weight is heavier, probably 20 pounds heavier than, where it, probably should be on a healthy scale. So, so there's things that, you need to make the goals based on what you're trying to accomplish in terms of your health and well-being. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, maintaining a healthy weight for you is going to be better than the yo-yoing. So if every year you're the one setting the goal to lose 20, 30 pounds, and you do that in January, and then you put it back on every year and cycle through, it's like, well, maybe 10 pounds less would be, if that's a more manageable, maintainable weight, then that would probably be better for you long term than the constant up, down, up, down. Because again, that puts a lot of strain on our bodies as well, that our metabolism, our joints going from the the one weight up and down, and so again, just focusing on the day to day, and then letting all of the other positive health changes come along naturally, as opposed to, like you said, get so focused
on the number, on the outcome, rather than the day to day. So so what can you be doing? Move better, eat better, okay, less processed foods, less sugar.
That's
more,
a big one for sleep too. That coming back to the sleep is are you snacking at night, and what are you eating at night? I guarantee you're not snacking on veggies.
Veggie sticks.
No one's like, oh man, I was
really
up till 10 o'clock, like chowing down on some carrots. It's like, I ate that entire bag of potato chips. There's a simple thing you can do. Stop buying the potato chips. I tell people that all the time. The easiest way to not snack at night is don't have the snacks in the house.
If it doesn't go bad until next year, it might not.
I know these are best.
You might not want
yes, box or a bag.
If you looked in my pantry, you would think I was robbed. There's nothing in there. But it's like you look in my fridge. Well, once I go shopping, so that's a big one right there. And I know people always use kids as an excuse. It's like, oh, those are the kids' snacks. Oh, really? Yeah. And you never touch them, do you? So,
never.
And also, then again, what habits are you teaching your children? What are you setting them up for? We talk about that all the time. We grew up in the processed food world without realizing. It was the health, it was always the
fat-free,
the fat-free, blah, blah, blah. But it was all processed stuff because that's what was. So, what did that set us up for? And what are you setting your kids up for? So, those healthy habits start from day one.
Yeah. So do yourself a favor, set the goal, set the destination, but don't be laser focused on that. Be laser focused on what is the 1, 2, or 3 things that you can start doing
today.
Today. Yeah, December 5th is today. Whenever this comes out, we're doing this December 5th. But what's the 1, 2, or 3 things that you can do today, moving forward, that is going to start leading you towards your goal, but what's the actionable item? Because you can't snap your fingers and drop 30 pounds, but you can go take a walk. You can, have a salad for lunch.
Yes,
you can
skip the sugary latte
breakfast sugar.
Breakfast sugar. Yeah.
So those are the things you can start doing today. So just do the thing that is going to get you moving, get your, get the momentum moving in the right direction. And then again, rinse and repeat it tomorrow and the next day. And as you start to get that momentum, then it becomes easier and easier. And just like you said, before you know it, your body is going to become addicted to the healthy lifestyle, to feeling good, just
all the time. You don't know how bad you feel currently until you start feeling good. Exactly. And then it's like, wow. And
then it was like, why did I wait this long to start doing that? We hear that all the time. People start carrying the office and it's like, a couple weeks go by and it's like, I can't believe how amazing I feel. I should have done this 10, 20 years ago. And it's like, and that might be something that you add to your routine. If you don't see a chiropractor on a regular basis, getting an adjustment, getting a massage, doing an ice bath, doing a cold shower, doing a sauna, like add something to your routine that you can do on a weekly or daily basis that you are going to just do it.
Yeah.
And it's easy, Sitting in a sauna, sitting in an ice bath, sitting in a hot tub, like those are all it's like those are all things that all you have to do is show up and do it.
And if you are a current patient, remember that, this is something that I can work with you with. If you have no idea where to start, we can figure out what should be those. Because again, it can feel overwhelming if you're like, well, I don't know, I need to change everything. It can feel very overwhelming. So we can sit down and really go, what are the 1, 2, or 3 things that you should be focusing on, and really set up. Again, we talk about in a past podcast, accountability is so important. So if you don't feel like you have that accountability at home, that makes it a lot harder, but we can be that accountability for you. So we can meet on a regular basis in person or over the phone. I can set you up I have a 30-day email, like motivational email that goes every day. You just kind of get that email reminder of like, you got this, you can do this. And that's sometimes just what you need to get over that initial hump of, I don't even know where to begin. And
it's the stall, right? It's the, funny, I don't know, I'm going to bring this up because I have a new smoker sitting out on the porch right behind me. And there's when you're smoking brisket, this is something that I learned from, over there. I know, right now, I really am. I'm going to want brisket after this. But there's a period called the stall. And it's when the meat comes to temperature, but it has to be at that temperature for, an additional like 2 or 3 hours to basically cook and break all the fats down so that they become super soft, super juicy, and what makes the brisket a brisket. And, you basically have to bring it to temperature and then you stay there. And it's like so many of us, it's like, we come to temperature or we come up to the wall, the stall, and it's like, well, I feel good enough. I'm comfortable. But we don't want to work through or push through that, that temperature, that stall. And so, in terms of the momentum, you've just, what are you going to do today? What action are you going to do today to break through that stall?
Yeah. Well, there you go. We didn't know we have a cooking podcast now too. That chef Dr. Dan.
Chef Dr. Dan. Just add it to my, well, hey. I've done pretty good. I'm like 3 for 3 on the, or 4 for 4 on the smoker this year.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, getting ready to smoke that turkey for Christmas.
Cannot wait.
All right. So anyway, if any of this resonated with you, if you need help breaking through your, momentum stall, if you, want to set some resolutions or just, make a little bit of make a change because you're just trying to get healthy and stay healthy, and you need help as an individual, as a couple, as a family, reach out to us. Let us know how we can help. Let's just have a conversation, and you'd be amazed at what that conversation can lead to for your next step, for your next phase of life. So with that being said, I'm Dr. Dan.
Here with Angela.
I'm Riley.
And we will see you at the next What the Health podcast. Take care.
You've been listening to What the Health with Dr. Dan and Angela Toro, brought to you by Toro Family Chiropractic. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.whatthehealth.world.